Hi guys, I'm Kath. Welcome back to day 9 of Vlogmas. If you are surprised that I have kept this up for this long, just know you are not as surprised as I am. Obviously, I have to do some Vampire Diaries content during Vlogmas. So today I'm going to be ranking all 8 seasons of the Vampire Diaries. I feel like the most common question I get when I live stream on TikTok next to what does Ian Somerhalder smell like is what is my favorite season of the Vampire Diaries. So I figured I might as well do a whole video chatting about it because this is one of my favorite things to talk about. So here we are. Oh, also, if it's not obvious, there's probably going to be a lot of spoilers in this video, so don't watch it if you haven't finished the series, but also you probably wouldn't like this video if you hadn't finished the series anyways because you wouldn't really know what I'm talking about the entire time. All right, if you're new here, I would love to have you subscribe. I am doing Vlogmas, so I'm here all month long, whether you want me here or not. And I do have this vampire themed merch as well. I haven't promoted this in a while, but obviously this is a good time to do this. If you want a really cool Vampire Fangs t-shirt, hoodie, sweatshirt, any of those things, I'll leave the link for that down below. I think they're cool, but obviously I'm biased. I made my own alignment chart on tiermaker.com. I'll leave the link down below so you guys can actually do this along with me. But the categories that I chose, top tier is played at my funeral. And I do mean play the entire season at my funeral, even if my funeral has to be 24 hours long. Play the whole season. The next tier is must watch to date me. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. Third tier is could use more seasoning, so I like it, like the season. I just have some critiques for it. I mean, I have critiques for all the seasons because I have critiques for everything, but I have more critiques for the ones that could use more seasoning. Next category, this is where we start to get into the, I don't really love these seasons that much, is the writers were napping. Also self-explanatory. And then the bottom tier is was written by bats, and I do mean literal bats. They put bats in a room with a keyboard and waited until they pressed keys that formed a script, and that's the script that they used for the season. So yeah. So I think the normal way to do this would be to go through the seasons in chronological order. However, I do feel that I would rather rank in order of how much I like the seasons. So my number 1 favorite season is season 3. Play season 3 at my funeral. And I usually don't have favorites of almost anything, like one significant favorite. So this is a big deal. Like, y'all need to realize how significant this is. I think season 3 is fantastic. There's so much good stuff in there. There's so much plot that happens. I love all the backstory with the originals that we get in season 3. I think the originals are like the best thing on the show, not even in terms of like the characters, just like I think the actual inclusion of the originals adds so much to the plot. I love the music in season 3. I love season 3. I think season 3 is sensational.
Talented, brilliant, incredible, amazing.
I like Stelena and Elena, which people get really annoyed about. They're like, just pick one. But I think they're so different and I like them for different reasons. So I like that we get that like peak Delena tension building. We have the motel kiss that I'm obsessed with, obviously. And then we also have like our cute Stelena moments when Elena's like, Stephanie, I love you. Hold on to that. Like you get it all in this. Like I like Delena better in season 3 than I do when they're actually dating. I think they're so sensational in season 3. I'm obsessed with it. Also, there's outfits in season 3. Outfits that I'm obsessed with, the whole like Claire line. There's just so much. I could probably make an entire video just talking about how much I love season 3. And my must watch to date me are season 1 and season 2. I think the first 3 seasons of the show are completely elite. I think wrapped up together, they almost feel like a different show. I love the whole show, obviously, but I think the first 3 seasons have like something to them that the rest of the show doesn't necessarily have. I think there's something so special about the first 3 seasons that just I could watch them over and over and over. Like when I think Vampire Diaries, like the images that come to mind are images from the first 3 seasons. If I absolutely had to pick like between season 1 and season 2, I would probably pick season 2, and that is primarily because of the introduction of the originals in season 2. You know I love my originals. You know I live for Elijah Michelson / Daniel Gillies. Season 1 definitely is a lot of setup for season 2 and the rest of the show, which I love. I think season 1 is great. I was so hooked on the show by the second episode. It keeps you like, you want to watch the entire thing. The finale of season 1, I never watched the show when it was on air. I watched it on Netflix when I was a freshman in college, and I can't imagine having to watch the season 1 finale and then wait months for season 2 to start. Like, once you find out like Catherine's back, Catherine's alive, Catherine is here fucking things up in Mystic Falls, and then having to wait months, I couldn't have done it. I would have actually lost my mind. If you haven't seen the first 3 seasons of the Vampire Diaries, like, what are we even going to talk about? So now this is where it gets a little more tricky with the could use more seasoning versus the writers were napping. Kind of struggle a little bit with like which ones to put in each category. For use more seasoning, I think season 5 and season 6 go in could use more seasoning for me. Season 5, the only thing that really keeps it from going into the writers were napping category for me is Silas. I love humor, obviously. I love funny things, and I think Silas was hilarious. I think Paul played Silas so well.
After 2,000 years of a miserable existence, I finally get to die.
It made me laugh so much. I think just like a lot of the jokes he made were great.
Guys, I'm feeling really ganged up on right now, okay?
And that's really the thing that keeps season 5 up there for me. Season 5 isn't my favorite other than that. Like, I think almost too much was happening in season 5, and that's why it's not one of my absolute favorites. I can't tell you everything that happened in season 5. So I think there was maybe a little too much going on. I would have liked it to be a little more condensed, wrapped up just a little bit. I also love the season 5 finale. It gets me crying literally every time. I love when Jeremy's running around screaming Bonnie's name and Wings by Birdie is playing in the background. I think when Damon and Elena have their like goodbye where Elena can't actually see Damon, I think it's sensational. So that's also why season 5 is juicy for me. I love a good finale that makes me cry. Season 6 is probably my favorite of the post season 3 seasons, but I can't rank it any higher than could use more seasoning because I have to admit that like objectively it has a lot of faults to it. The reason I like it so much, or reasons I like it so much, I love the prison world storyline. I love getting to see Kat and Ian working together. They work super, super well together. I like Bonnie in season 6. I like the prison world. I like Damon's character in season 6 a lot. I love that he and Bonnie become friends. I love the moment when Damon tells Elena that he's not trying to get Bonnie back for her.
I'm doing this for Bonnie, Elena. Not for you.
The things that I don't like about season 6, I hate the Elena compelling away her memories of Damon's storyline. Everything about it, I think there's a lot of plot holes in it. I hate that the compulsion doesn't break when a Lark becomes human again, but then in season 8 when Stefan becomes human, everyone he's ever compelled, their compulsion breaks. I hate that. I think that's such a big plot hole and like such just lazy writing on the writer's part. I just think it feels out of character for her to compel her memories away, and I don't like it. Makes her feel too reliant on him. I think I could do a whole other video on like Elena's character was just too hinged on her relationship with the boys and her feeling for the boys. Like I think she needed to be her own character outside of that more than the writers let her be. So that's like kind of my least favorite moments of season 6. I like the finale of season 6 a lot actually. It also gets me really emotional. I think the sequencing of like the little like dreamish sequences or whatever it is when Damon and Elena are talking after she's already been put into the little magical coma are great. I love, like they get me so emotional. The music that plays in the background and then the song Hunger when they're actually dancing. I think all 3 of those songs are beautiful and tie those scenes together so well. I don't obviously love the storyline of Caroline's mom dying, but I love, like it gets me really emotional, and I think the funeral scene is great, and I think it's so, you get this very real death. It's the first just like non-supernatural death in the show, and I think that's why it hits so hard. Like, there's nothing they could have done or not done to prevent it happening. There's a lot that I like about season 6, and I just, like I said, I can't rank it higher because objectively there's also a lot of flaws, but it's definitely my favorite of the later seasons. For the writers were napping, I gotta put season 4 in it. And I think this is like, I recognize that this is more of an opinion based thing than like an objective based thing. I don't know how you like ever fully objectively rate something like this anyways, but I don't love season 4. I really don't like, first of all, I think it's just, it's so predictable for Elena to have become a vampire, and I do get it to a degree. Like, there needed to be that big change in her character. I just think it's so obvious for the human protagonist of the vampire show to become a vampire, and I think it would be really interesting to have a show or a story where the human protagonist stays human the entire time. Like, it just feels like the obvious transition. I don't know. And I don't like the whole Hunter I don't like the whole Hunter's curse plot line. It's just kind of like weird to me. And then like the finding the cure storyline it's not my favorite in the world. I don't like the Sire storyline and how I like that Damon and Elena got together, but I don't like how they got together because it went in a very short period of time from Elena being on her way to choose Stefan to Elena dumping Stefan and choosing Damon in such a short period of time, and it does make it seem like it's a lot more to do with her being changed into a vampire and being under the Sire bond than it does for her actual feelings. I don't know. Season 4 just isn't my favorite. It does have some good scenes. The college feels so close scene, love that. There are good moments to it. It just isn't, the transition from season 3 to season 4 is just like for me. And then obviously for the was written by Bats category, season 7 and season 8 are, I think, everyone's least favorite seasons. There are a lot of aspects that I do like about season 7. Season 7 is very close to making it into the writers were napping category versus the was written by Bats category. That season 7 is always the point where like if I'm on a rewatch, like I start to like tune out a lot more. I'm playing like phone games a lot more. I'm like kind of have abandoned my most recent rewatch in the middle of season 7, but there are aspects that are interesting to it. I think the concept of heretics is very interesting. I don't really like most of the actual heretics. I love Nora and Mary Louise. I was so happy that we finally get some like real gay rep on the show. I love Bonnie in season 7. I love that Bonnie carries season 7. I think Kat looks amazing in season 7. It just loses me for some reason. I don't know. I mean, it's like the main character's gone and I don't think they quite have anyone like step up to be the main character quite in the way that they needed to. Like, I think it should have centered around Bonnie even more than it like really did. Like, Bonnie needed to be the main character. I think there's just a lot that they could have done. I think the writers should have considered Bayman as a couple. I love them as friends. I think their friendship is amazing and I love that they became friends, but I think Kat and Ian just worked so well together that the writers really should have considered that and not have worried as much about like the fans freaking out because of Delena. Because I mean, Elena's in a coffin. Like, you're not getting Delena for the next 2 seasons regardless. So there just could have been more to it that made it like less of a snooze fest for me. And then season 8, again, there are moments that I loved to season 8. There really are. I love like the guilt of Stefan when he becomes a human again, just the guilt that he carries for killing Enzo. I hate that they killed Enzo. I think that's ridiculous. Like, of all the people, like, Bonnie deserved a happy ending. They put that girl through so much. They should not have killed Enzo. And that's not to say that you can't be happy without a man, but that she was planning on that being her life partner. Like, that's devastating, and they shouldn't have done that to her. It's just the last 2 seasons are just off. I don't think I need to explain to anyone why I think they're off. So there it is. that is my ranking of all 8 seasons of The Vampire Diaries and my ramblings as to why I feel that way about each season. Like I said, I will link my little alignment chart down below if you would like to rank the seasons using my very descriptive tiers. My friend RD suggested that I rank the Vampire Diaries characters in order of like who I'd most versus least want to date. So if there's any characters you're concerned that I would leave out in that, because I always leave someone's favorite character out whenever I'm doing anything, ranking any ship or character, anything like that, feel free to leave a comment down below and I will do my best to include them. So I hope that this was fun for y'all Vampire Diaries fans out there. I love y'all so much. Stay tuned and I will see you in my next video, which will be tomorrow. Bye guys.